Hey guys, so today I'm here with a challenge, and this is the first challenge I've ever done on my channel, and it's the full face of makeup using blank challenge. And there's been kids makeup, there's been food, there's been liquid lipsticks, there's been no brushes, but I decided to make up my own, and I did this because I'm always too late on the bandwagon for the challenges that are already out, and I thought I could be a bit creative and do something new on my channel, so I thought I'd make one up. And it's going to be full face of makeup using the wrong brushes challenge, and you might be thinking, that sounds a bit stupid, but let me explain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using brushes that I wouldn't use for each section. So for my eyebrows, I use a lip brush instead of my eyebrow brush, and it kind of just teaches you that you don't need to have the brushes that are labelled to be something to use for that specific thing. Does that make sense? So if you buy a foundation brush, you don't have to use it as a foundation brush, and that's just kind of what I'm trying to get across. I got inspired by this because obviously all of the makeup, full face makeups that I've seen, but specifically I left my eyebrow brush at my dad's one time, and so I used my lip brush instead, and my eyebrows were just flawless, and obviously not as good as with an eyebrow brush because it's not as stiff, but it really did work, and I didn't think it would. So that's where I got the inspiration of this video from. But let me know if there are any challenges that you'd like me to do, because I feel like I always am too late, but as soon as there's a new one I will try and just be on it and do it. So yeah, without this much rambling, I'll just get on to the video. So firstly, I'm going to start off with the tool that inspired this challenge, and that is my lip brush. I'm firstly going to be using the Brow This Way kit by Rimmel London, and then I'm going to be using my NYX Tame and Frame, and this is in the shade Espresso. So I'm just going to take a bit of the pomade from the Brow This Way kit and just get a fair bit amount on my brush, and then what I'm going to do is just, I'm sorry if this is going to be really bad, it's so hard to do with a mirror. Okay, I switched to the other side because it's really hard to do that side on camera, so I'll do this eyebrow off camera because I can't do it on camera. But again, I'm just taking that pomade and sculpting out my brow, and then I'm taking the flat bit and actually just packing it onto my eyebrow. And now I am taking my NYX Tame and Frame, just putting it on the very tail of my brow, just to add a little bit more depth. And I know this is cheating, but I don't have anything remotely similar to this brush here, so I'm just going to be brushing it out with my spoolie. And voila, that is a brow. So I'll just go off and complete my next brow, and then I'll be right back. So now I need to clean up my brows, and for this, instead of a concealer brush, I'm going to be using my eyebrow brush, and this works really nicely because it's tapered and it's really thin, so you can really clean your brows up with this. And I'm going to be using my Naked Skin concealer by Urban Decay in the shade Fair Neutral. Fair Neutral. Now I'm just brushing this down onto my eyelid to cover up any veins. Now I was meant to be doing foundation, but I always do my foundation first and I haven't, and now I feel like really put off if I do my foundation next, so I think I'm going to skip out on foundation for today. Done. So for the rest of my eyelids to use as a concealer base, I'm going to be using Collection Concealer in the shade Fair, and where usually I would use a beauty blender, I'm going to use my foundation brush for my concealer because it makes sense, and I think if you have foundation then there's not really going to be a time when you're going to forget your foundation brush, so you can use it for more than one thing, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to put this all over my eyelids and a downward triangle under my eyes. This is running out, so I think I might need to go grab another one. Yeah, it really is, but I'll make do for the moment. So I'm going to do my eyelids first, and I'm just going to blend this in. This is a MAC 190, just if you were wondering. Perfect, so that actually blended in really, really nicely. And it's much quicker as well because it's a huge brush. Obviously it's probably quicker if you're using a beauty blender, but if you're just using a small concealer brush, then this is a lot quicker process. So to set my concealer, I'm going to be using my angled highlighter brush, and I am going to be using probably now cracked Rimmel London translucent powder, and I'm just going to be pressing that in on my eyes. This challenge really does kind of teach you how you can use different brushes for things that they're not actually meant to be used for, because everything that I've done so far has worked really well for me. I'm going to move on to my eyeshadow now, and I think I'm going to use my nose contour brush, and this is the MAC 239. Now, I don't know if this is actually meant to be a blender brush, but I use it to contour my nose, so that's what I'm going to use it for. And the first shade that I'm going to take is, by the way, I'm using the Makeup Revolution Fortune Favours the Brave palette. And for my transition shade, I'm going to be using this pink here. It's kind of salmony pink, so I'm just going to put that in my crease and just blend, blend, blend. This brush does make it a bit hard to blend because it's stiffer than a blending brush. But it's okay, it just gives it more definition on the outer corner, which is good. I'm first going to be using this, I can get that in a minute, this kind of mauvey brown shade, and then I'm going to be going on top with this sparkly purple here. And the brush I'm going to be using is going to be my concealer brush, actually. That's going to be a good idea. So I've got my concealer brush here, and this is the MAC 194. So as I said, I'm going to be taking that brownie mauve shade, and I'm just going to pack that on my lid. This is actually a good idea because my concealer brush has still got a little bit of concealer on, which means that this eyeshadow is sticking to it, therefore making it a bit more pigmented. So this has kind of worked in my favour, to be honest. Fortune favours the brave. Right, so that's all over my lid. Now onto the other one. Now I'm going to be using the sparkly purple, and I'm putting that all over my lid. So now to give my eye look a bit more depth, I'm going to be going in with this purpley shade here, and I'm going to use So the only brush I actually have that's fluffy enough to do an outer corner is my nose contour brush. So I'm gonna have to use that. I'm sorry that I'm repeating brushes, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to put that. And this is actually going to be hard because it's so big. Look at that already. It's so big, so it picks up a lot of colour, and this is messed right up. Wow. Okay. Okay, so that actually looks half decent. That's okay. We can deal. Anyway, I'm going to be packing on another sparkly colour in the palette because I love sparkle, and I'm going to be using the lighter pink. I'm just going to be putting that on the inner half of my eye, and if that doesn't work I'm going to go in with a whitey shade. Actually, I'm going to be using the white for my inner corner and my brow bone highlight. So that's just giving it a bit more definition and a bit more sparkle because the sparkle got taken away when I was blending out that annoyingly pigmented colour. This eye does look a lot more purple than this one, but it's okay, it's just a challenge. I'm going to be taking it off after. So now we are going to use my concealer again, and I'm going to be again blending that out with my foundation brush. So in a downward triangle, I'm going to be blending out my concealer. I'm going to be taking my foundation brush again. So let's just see how this goes. This should work pretty well because it's just a foundation brush, and foundation and concealer is pretty much the same thing. Concealer is just a thicker consistency. So I'll be very surprised if this doesn't really work. Now that I've blended in my concealer, I'm going to be setting it, of course, and I'm going back in with the same concealer, and I'll probably use the same brush as well. So, which brush did I use again? Did I use this brush? I think so. Well, even if I didn't, I'm going to use it anyway. So, this one's actually a good one to use because it's tapered, so it can get right under your eye and on my chin and on my nose, and then next one. But yeah, it goes right under your eye, so it's a really good brush to use. So now I'm going to be finishing off the eyes, and I'm going to first grab this palette again and do my lower lash line. I'm going to be using this paintbrush. So I got this to use as a fan brush, but it doesn't work as a fan brush at all. It's awful, so I don't use it, but we'll try and use it for my lower lash line and just see how that pans out. So I'm going to take the pinky shade again, which I used to transition, and hope for the best. No. The brush literally just doesn't move. So instead I'm going to be taking this brush here, and I usually use that for my nose highlight. This brush is going to be so much easier to use than that other one. So I just used that pink shade, and now I'm going in with the brownie mauve that I use. I'm not going to be going in with the purple because it's so pigmented and I just can't even bear to see what will happen if I don't use the right brush. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going in with that purple shade. And I'm going to, I'll blend that out more in a minute with a different brush. I'm going to be doing my inner corner highlight, and I'm going to be using a lip brush. Yeah, as I said, I've got two lip brushes, so I'm going to be using this Urban Decay one, and it looks like this. And I'm going to take this shade here and do my inner corner and my brow bone. And this is slightly good. The shades that I'm using, they also have as a big panned highlighter as well. Makeup Revolution. So, I really like it. It's really good. So now I'm just going to do my mascara just with my normal mascara wand. I'm not going to try and do a fancy thing with a brush. I'm just going to get my mascara and just do it how I usually do it, using the Miss Hippie mascara and my Topshop False Lash Intense. So I'm going to be going in with the Miss Hippie one first to give my lashes some volume. Now I'm going in with the False Lash Intense mascara. Someone needs to teach me how to use false lashes because I literally can't put them on. I'd wear them every day if I knew how. But I don't, and to be honest, it's kind of a blessing that I don't, because it's just going to be more money that I spend on makeup otherwise. Here we go, and that is the final eye look with mascara and all. Next we have some bronzer, and I'm going to be using the Collection Bronze Glow Powder, and I'm going to be taking my fan brush because it's quite a thick one and I feel like I can get a really good line. Maybe? We'll see. We'll see how this works, and hopefully it does, because it does actually. It is kind of doing the job. But I do want a bit more because I don't feel like that's enough. Now I'm going to be using this Makeup Revolution Goddess of Love highlighter, and I'm going to take my blush brush. Actually no, I'm not, because I'm actually going to take a smaller brush. I'm going to take this blender brush here from MAC, and this is the 275 brush. I'm just going to take my highlighter, it's gold, and just blend it out because I don't want lines. Oh my god. So we're going to go on to blush, and for blush I'm going to use my brush that I blend in my contour with usually. We're going to take the blush called Trouble, and this is by Collection. So I'm just packing that on because it's not a pigmented blush, it's a really subtle one. So if I just... Oh wow guys, you should see me in person. I've just looked in the mirror and oh my god is all I have to say. My highlighter is literally a gold streak on my face. Ew! So that actually didn't work because I ended up putting more on than I needed to with that little tiny brush. And this brush isn't working either because it's so fluffy that the product just isn't really picking up. Oh, I cannot get over my highlighter. I wish you could see it because you can. You can just kind of see the gold glow, but in person, oh my god, when there's no light, it just looks like a gold streak on my face. Anyway, we are finally onto lips, and for my lips I'm just going to be using just a lipstick. I'm not going to be trying to use a brush or anything. I'm going to be using my Kylie Lip Kit lip liner in the shade Candy K to line my lips firstly. And now I'm going in with Aquarius by Colourpop, and I don't think this is going to match very well. add to the other things that have gone wrong in this challenge. And this is the completed look using brushes I don't usually use for each section of my makeup, and I think it turned out okay. The only thing that I'm really didn't was the highlighter and kind of the purple in my eyeshadow, just because it wasn't blended very well because I didn't use a blending brush. But other than that, everything went fine, and it kind of just proves that you can use a brush that you don't usually use, say if you forget one, to do different things. I'm most proud of the lip brush for the eyebrows, because I've done that before anyway, but it worked really well. And yes, so I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if there are any other challenges that you want me to do in the comment section down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!